Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our April 21st council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Here.
Mr. Menghini?
Here.
Dr. Hayes? Here. Mr. Gottstein?
Here.
Mr. Ball?
Here.
Before we get into the business of our regular meeting, we're going to be doing a second reading of ordinance number 410, an ordinance to establish the rules and regulations regarding the proper use and permitting of use for the public right-of-way within the city. Looking through it, I believe the changes made were the sections 54 and 55, which we had talked about pertaining to the requiring people to shovel sidewalks, and the fines set forth if they didn't have been removed. I believe those are the only changes I noted.
That's correct.
The requiring shoveling is out, it's taken out. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything else they'd like to talk about with it?
Yeah, I can't find it right now, but I had some notes in here about signs, like for the rummage sale day, the big citywide sale. Signs are gonna go out and they had to be picked up, I believe it was 24 hours, Ray, for that.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was under that special permit.
It's
but
under the special
This is
permit.
part of it anyway.
Yeah.
If somebody leaves their sign out and say the cops go by and pick it up 2 days later and their name and everything is on there, they will get a ticket, right?
Littering, yeah.
Literally. Okay. How much is the fine and where does that money go? Does the county or state get that money or does the city
No,
actually
the city
get
gets that particular money.
that money? That particular money. Okay,
Right.
I guess that was my question.
Right. And that's why we want to keep this as local and, just amongst with the police department here.
Okay, clears that up.
Dr. Hayes, anything?
Well, I just want to make sure that, that we've had safe routes to school go through, and we're going to be spending a lot of money, and the state's going to be spending a lot of money, that those sidewalks are going to be kept clean. And it's my understanding that the city would be cleaning those with their sidewalk machine.
That's correct. I think, when we talked about the requirement for clearing your sidewalk, there were a couple of interesting points that came out in that discussion. One was, you use say an elderly person, and I think it was Chris that mentioned about, we do require cutting of grass. You think about what requirements you should have. So, I know that, there's some extra walks that I do, working for your family or if you contract. So, I mean, there's means of doing it. I think one difference, and I was just going to mention this, one difference maybe between cutting grass and snow is that if I want to cut my grass, or, I could maybe wait till the weekend, whereas you get the snowfall, you have to pretty much get to it within a short period of time. So that's an interesting dynamic that you have to deal with. I think George brought up probably the biggest issue is that we now have the sidewalk machine, which we are going to hit the safe routes to schools for sure, and we have that route laid out. We also will do the sidewalks along the highway. We want to make sure those are cleared, and that will help long term throughout the winter. As time permits, as we go through days after a snow event, we'll try to pick off more walks. So I think, George's comment was you're going to do some for some and none for someone else. That does somewhat breed some animosities potentially. So I think that it's a good time to take a step back on that. I mean, I do propose, or I would support some language, at least recognizing that you do what you can to keep your walks clean. But I think that sidewalk machine adds that extra dimension that we'll see what we can do with that, and maybe it's not necessary in our community.
Well, my point, Ray, was in which Jerry probably emphasized on that you can't go and write tickets, have our machine going out and do part of
Yeah.
the town, and then go out and write tickets out to other people that their sidewalks aren't done.
Right.
I mean, that just isn't fair to anybody.
Right, and I think that's definitely a, you know, a dynamic that we have to deal with because we have the machine,
Exactly.
and I think we should see what we can do using that.
And have we pretty much abandoned our, helping people replace sidewalks?
You know,
If we're not gonna require that they're clean, there's no point. The sidewalks are needed mostly in the wintertime when the roads are slippery and you want people off the road. And if they're not gonna be cleaned in the winter, there's certainly no point in replacing sidewalks.
well, there's still a requirement within the ordinance, keep your sidewalks, your boulevards maintained. That's part of maintenance. The problem we had with the current program, or we have with the current program, is that our sidewalks are 4-foot sidewalks, and you should have 5-foot sidewalks. We can continue the program if we're okay with, you know, continuing with a 4-foot sidewalk, but what happens is that someone in the middle of the block or somewhere within that block just has a couple squares, and so you end up replacing brand-new walk with the 4-foot. What we really need to figure out is how do we get the whole block, and then we can get a nice 5-foot stretch through, wide stretch through. So we kind of backed off on that. We can, I think during budget hearings, we should talk about those types of programs. One of the areas that we were diving into is that, you know, people would pay for the material, and then we would pick up the labor. That would be the shared side of it. But I think we have to talk about, are we willing to keep the smaller 4-foot wide sidewalks in town? If we are, then we can continue the program.
Ray, didn't you mention last meeting that we weren't gonna have that replacement this summer?
Yeah, this summer, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, because my brother asked me, he wanted it, and I said, I don't think
Yeah.
they're gonna offer it, but, well, sure, you just mentioned it last week,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
last meeting.
And that was the reason, as George is that, we really should try and figure out how do we get that whole block done. I mean, if we can get the whole block done, then that would be better.
Anything else, Secretary?
That's the only questions I had.
George?
I got a couple here. On page 13, section 49, maintain, basically the same thing. Like out on Forest Drive, Ray, if you want to take and read this through here. You know, out on Forest Drive where you don't have no curbs, you don't have no sidewalks, how can we tell people that we want them to bring sidewalks from their home or front door out to our streets when we don't have sidewalks and curbs there?
Right, we don't have a requirement to put in sidewalks. In fact, if we went out there, I've had this conversation when we had a road project, they don't want sidewalks out there.
Right.
But what it means is that, you know, they don't own right up to the road's edge. We get that with the plowing. When we went through with the road project, there's a section of grass that is actually within the right of way. And so that's the part they're talking about. It doesn't have to have a sidewalk. It's just a section that is actually public property, but they maintain all the way up to the shoulder.
If a person would, say, put a sidewalk from the front door around over to the driveway, I mean, where do we draw the lines here of where the sidewalk has to go to? I mean, so.
Well,
he
if they-
says,
if
well,
they-
I'm, you know,
Yeah, if they-
everybody drives up to my driveway, you know, why do I want a sidewalk out to? I guess there's,
Yeah, we're not requiring the sidewalks along the road. If they want to have a sidewalk coming from their parking area to their front door, that's on their property,
Okay,
they can do that. There's no requirement there at all. This
that you
doesn't
have to, okay.
Yeah.
These rules wouldn't apply to that.
No, not at all.
Okay, because if you read some of this through, it kind of,
Yeah, it's all meant to be in the right of way, anything that happens in the right of way.
okay, now if you go down to the bottom paragraph, Jeremy, right in the middle of that paragraph, it says not. If you read that through, such notice shall specify a reasonable time, not less than 7 days. Now, if you read this through and continue, is less the word that we want there? To me, I'm taking that not less, it means you can't, I don't know, I'm asking,
Yeah, it's confusing.
I don't think that's the right word, but it is there, but I don't, I'm not much for English here because, I don't know, Ray, I just, how do you read it and how do you take it? I guess that's my point. Mr.
I
Alves?
can say when we drafted legislation for the state, not less than 7 days, and not at least 7 days. You got at least.
The way I take that is the notice, you'll have at least 7 days. The notice will give you at least 7 days.
Okay.
That's how I take it, but I see what you're saying.
It can be confusing, you might want to put, such notice shall specify a reasonable time, at least 7 days, if that helps, if that.
Yeah.
It's gotta be user
Yeah,
friendly
I
for the
can see
people.
what you're saying, Drew.
Sure.
That was all.
Chris? I've got nothing else. Does anybody from the public or any other council or staff wish to comment on this? No, please come up.
Darrell Carter, 600 15th Avenue. I've just got a couple things on it. On these sidewalks, you're talking about keeping them clear in the winter, that's nice. It is nice for walking for everybody else. But during the summer, some of these sidewalks, and I walk a lot of the sidewalks in town, the sidewalks are so overgrown in some areas, nobody maintains them in the summer. They're overgrown, you can't even see the sidewalks in some areas. There's trees and bushes that are grown over the sidewalks where you have to walk around them. And that's something I think we should look at too.
Okay.
I agree with you, Gerald, especially right on, 6th, my street there, Ray, right across from, the halls. Them trees constantly are over, encroaching on the sidewalk there. You gotta either duck or walk out on the, street.
All right, Ray's making note.
Thank you.
Now, would that be responsibility of the,
The homeowner.
homeowner to
Yeah.
keep that clear?
But now, if you have a low-hanging branch out over the sidewalk, would that homeowner have to get a permit or permission to go and cut that limb off? Because we've been through that. You just can't go out and cut it off.
On the,
To me, I could care less. Fine, you want to cut it off, go ahead, but didn't we have some,
But those are boulevard trees. You know, when you have the boulevard trees that were having issues, then you want to coordinate that with the city.
they would, okay. But
It's
they're
on their
still,
property leaning over. You can
oh,
go-
on their property leaning over,
Yeah, it's
okay.
their property and it's leaving, like, especially when George is coming out.
So if it's a boulevard tree and it's leaning over, could they technically still do it if they wanted to?
They
and
can,
just get a
but
permit?
they need to then talk to us about
They
it
do,
because,
okay.
you know, we want to make sure that that tree is pruned
Properly.
properly.
You know, excuse me, Ray and David, I think this is where the city is constantly getting itself in trouble. You know, you got these problems, and if something happens, and, I mean, I know back a number of years, Ray, I think you were on the council then, where a woman got her glasses knocked off, claims to have her glasses knocked off, by a branch, and the city had to buy her a brand new pair of glasses, plus to examine the whole ball of wax. You know, so, okay, now whose fault is it? The city's fault? Well, in that case, the city paid for it, rather than go through all the hassle. It was easier to pay for it than to, you know, all the other bull that you have to go through. But, you know, where does common sense prevail in here? That, I think with some of these orders, we're getting too technical here, and we just ask to get it, put ourselves in constant controversy continuously. I mean, we try to do the right thing, but we,
Something always seems to pop up.
well,
I think on-
absolutely. I mean, you just can't, we can't sit here, Lee, and think of every possibility that can happen and how you're gonna cover it. But,
issue
yeah,
of-
you know, can you go back and blame, in that case, I mean, you blame that person that, you know, the boulevard or the tree was on the boulevard for not taking care of that? Or you blame, you know, are we gonna have a crew running around constantly cutting branches to avoid this?
The boulevard tree issue is actually in the tree ordinance. It doesn't, this is strictly for, the sidewalk obstruction, maintenance of the sidewalk, but it doesn't, you know, you divert to the tree ordinance to really talk about details on the maintenance of the tree. I think we should pull that, you know, I mean, pull it up and review that. I mean, that's, as far as that ordinance goes. I don't think this ordinance is going to be hampered in any way by that issue. So I think I'm taking a note on that. I think we should pull that and review that.
And, you know, I agree.
The bottom line, Ray, is we don't have the personnel to continuously going around
Right.
policing all these situations and watching for this stuff. You know, and same thing as Joe. You're gonna blame Joe because a tree grows and it grows onto the line, or what's the matter with his crews? How come they ain't watching for this stuff? I mean, how many lines we got and how many crews has he got that can constantly, and the first thing they'd be hollering, how come all they're doing is riding around town?
But the point of the ordinance is actually to avoid having our crews running around doing all this work, because those, you know, the responsibility is the homeowner. Your responsibility actually goes out to the street, you know, that boulevard. So the maintenance of that boulevard tree, the maintenance of the tree in your yard, the maintenance of the sidewalk, those are your responsibilities. You know, so, you know, we would contact you and say, hey, you know, can you, or you need to do that.
I agree with you, but just take the question that Ray asked, or Lee asked. There's a branch there, I mean, now he has to call the city hall in order to be able to,
Right, and,
you know.
and that
like,
language
wow,
is in the
we're-
tree ordinance. That language is in the tree ordinance, and what we should do is
My
pull
point
that
is,
ordinance.
we're just making it too technical
Right.
here to cover our,
Well, and that's the thing, George, I agree. We're doing a lot of this stuff. Common sense would say we don't need to do it.
absolutely.
But
That's my
we're
point.
in a very litigious society, and we need to try to protect ourselves as much as we can. That's why we do this, is to try to protect ourselves. I agree. I mean, common sense, no. If a branch is hanging over on the sidewalk, cut it off. But then you get the person who decides they want the whole tree gone, or they want half the tree gone, they cut all the branches up one side. That's why we have this kind of thing.
No,
That's why we have to.
I agree with you, Jeremy, but I mean, I'm just bringing up points that I know,
I
of
understand,
instances that I know that happened, and
In a way, it's too bad that we have to do this.
I agree.
Okay, anything?
No, I don't have nothing else.
Joe, anything, Mary, Tricia? Okay. I guess we'll move into the regular meeting then. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 7th.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from April 7th.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Lee. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Approval manifest 2014-08 in the amount of $372,310.89. George, any questions?
Page number 1, best heating and air conditioning. I believe last month we had a maintenance bill on there. Ray, I'm sure that you've been asked this question a number of times already, of possibly looking at the system that we got in here from day one. It's been nothing but a hassle.
Yep.
Have we ever got any quotes on redoing it, so
I have an extensive quote from Johnson Control. They came in and they've been talking with me for a couple of years, you know, trying to really get what we need to do with using as much of the current system as we can. But that would leave you with a no bid situation, so I need to find another quote. And it's not a situation where I could just write a bid spec and then send out, you know, for quotes.
Right.
So I have a person from Honeywell came in last week, and they went through the system, so I'm waiting for some numbers from them. There's also a third, and I can't remember the company. They're out of Appleton area as well. You know, once I get multiple quotes, then we'll be able to evaluate as to which direction we want to go. I did put some monies in the budget coming up to try and get this taken care of, because it is ridiculous. I mean, what we're dealing with.
you constantly look at these bills coming through here. I mean, just for maintenance, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's going to be expensive to replace the system, but I truly believe the payback on it is maybe 5 or 6 years. But it's going to be expensive, but the payback is a 5-6 year payback, which should be very good.
Well, but I think it's important too that we get the multiple quotes, just so.
Oh,
we can see.
definitely, definitely.
We're going to be evaluating the quotes as much on their explanation of how they're going to fix it as the price. So I can't guarantee you that the one that we come to you saying, take this one, is going to be the low bid. But I want to feel comfortable that whoever's doing it knows what they're doing and is giving us the best solution for the building. You know, and that's really why we're taking really a pragmatic approach to this. But I appreciate the question, because it's,
Well,
we want to get those.
I see it come true so often, and I mean, I know this just didn't start yesterday. This has been going on for years and years and years. Page 2, right in the middle, right underneath the 4,700 deal. Wayne or Mary, the $801, and then there's $130 all the way down. Why are these, why the separation? I mean, this is just curiosity. There's $801, then right below it, it's $130. Then you got
Yes.
$801.
They're
then
charging us a
$130.
fuel surcharge
Yeah, there's a fuel surcharge that's separate on the bill.
because of the price of diesel right now.
They separate out now, they got a fuel surcharge.
Okay, and this $801, that's per container, or?
That's the total bill for the tipping fees.
One is for March, George, and one is for April. If you look
Yeah,
at the
there's
end,
two
it
different
says
months.
March of 2014, and the other one says April.
Oh,
There's two-
That's for the recycling?
Yes.
Gotcha, Mary.
So just one second, just so the recycling costs us some $931, $932 a month.
Yeah, right down here, the two recycling fees, $286.25 and $283.31.
Okay, so what's the other Great American Disposal ones for?
Those are the dumpsters that they pick up, the commercial ones.
Oh, okay, all right.
We bill the customer, they
Yep.
bill us.
Yep, okay,
Those-
I understand.
Page 7, the shared membership for the golf course, golf commission, explanation on that. $717. $715. Shared membership of 2014.
That was just their share of memberships for the month of, that would have been for the month of March, I believe.
Is
We're
that
still in
money
the-
that we collected and then we
We
paid them?
collect the total amount for memberships, and then we share it with them for that agreement.
Okay,
Yeah, that due sharing agreement's coming up here in another, year and a half year.
okay. Page 8. Evidently, did we have a sewer problem here right in the middle? Resident sewer cleaning, for $3,000?
Yeah, that was that sewer blockage up on Main Street, 200 block of Main Street. Happened, what, a month and a half ago, month and a half ago?
Yes, the sewer was slow, George, and we tried to flush it to try to get it all to go, and it was frozen. And when we put the water in it, it backed up and flooded a basement.
Okay, then evidently down a little bit further, did we have to hire some Northern Septic to thaw that line in, Joe, or?
Yes, we did have Northern Septic come in to try to thaw it. They were unsuccessful.
Okay,
But we owed them anyway, because we called them up. And then we kept working on it after the fact with our own steamer and still couldn't get it. And then we put the jetter on the Vector truck, and it took us 5 days to get it. We worked on it for 5 days.
Is that line not very deep, Joe, or
No,
just
it's
an
a-
exceptional situation?
It's just, was the bad,
'Cause I know
chalk
there's-
it up to the bad winter.
No, because I know there's a lot of ledge in that area, and I thought maybe the line
Yeah,
wouldn't be
the
quite so
line
deep.
was actually froze down on Third, right around the corner, is where it was actually frozen at. So,
okay, then down a couple more, numbers there, $1,200. Do we have a accident that we got a bumper repair?
yes, we did. It was covered by some insurance. We put it in for our insurance company, and they backed into a fire hydrant with the pickup truck and bent the bumper and dented the tailgate.
That's all.
Did they get a ticket for that?
It was at the
You
well,
don't have to answer that.
Flags
Joe.
up higher on the hydrants, Joe?
it was at the well sightly, and no, there was
That's all I have.
no ticket involved.
Chris?
George, call all mine, so no questions.
Lee?
Everything is covered except one item here. I've probably asked this before, but I don't remember. It's been a while. On page 8, halfway down, L&M Custom Drying LLC, is that right? 68 tons of sawdust?
Yes, that is correct.
They use that at the wastewater?
Yes,
Plant down
we
there?
mix the sawdust with the sludge to dry it out. Yes, that is a big expense for us down there, very big expense. That's why we're trying to think of a different process for sludge handling that we can maybe cut back on some
How
of
often
these expenses.
do you get hit with something like that, Joe?
A couple times a year,
A couple times a year, okay.
yeah.
That's all I have.
Dr. Hayes?
No questions.
I have no questions either. So with that, I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion, we approve manifest 2014-08 in the amount of $372,310.89.
Trish, would you make a note on there that $1,259.30 on my vote? Okay. I'll support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by George. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yes?
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on the minutes manifest or any agenda item? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. If not, there'll be a further time for comment on any subject at the end of the meeting. Okay, in our communications this evening, we have 3 items. The first item is the approval special events application, community rummage sale. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a special events application submitted by Chris Spence. She organizes one of the organizers, main organizers for the citywide rummage sale. This is a very popular event for the community. An all-weekend event, and I think this is a good idea, pretty much all over town. So it's a good idea to put a special events application together. Not sure if we've done one for this event in the past, but this event has been going on for a long time, and a lot of people come to the community. One area, though, that I did highlight in this application was the temporary sign ordinance. As we talked about it in the public hearing, or not the public hearing, but the committee meeting, second reading of our ordinance, we did talk about limiting, or coming up with a set of rules for temporary signs, but in that ordinance, we're going to limit it to just in front of your house. But in this case, what we want to do is we want to clearly define that you can expand your areas that you could put a rummage sale sign out, except we don't want them on Main Street.
And that would just be, that would be for this event.
Just for this event,
For
so we're
rummage
gonna
sale
suspend the
weekend,
rules.
we're going to loosen the restrictions on rummage sale signs. That way people can get them out, because it's a community event.
We do want to encourage people to pay the $5 and get on the actual formal map. I think that helps. The $5 helps the event. They use that for printing. And then you would have your address and location on the map. But one thing that we wanted to put in for rules for even though you're suspending rules, we wanted to have some rules. We would allow the signs out on Thursday, the 15th, and then they would need to be removed by 6 p.m. on Sunday, the 18th. The signs must have an address on them of the event, and they cannot be placed on signposts, light posts, or utility posts. None on Main Street. We do not want them on Main Street. And let's see. And then we said the violations of these rules will write a littering ticket. That's basically what it comes down to.
I would encourage everyone the restrictions we're putting in, are just, they're minor compared to what the rules normally are for signs. I would really encourage everyone to follow them. We're removing the restrictions because this is a community event. This is something the whole community gets involved in for this one event. If we find, though, that people are abusing this once we loosen the rules, next year maybe we don't. So in order to keep the event, keep this kind of loosening of the restrictions for the event, I just encourage everyone to follow. Like Ray said, I'll go through exactly how they're written, just so everybody knows. Temporary signs can be installed on Thursday, May 15th, and must be removed by 6 p.m. on Sunday, May 18th. Signs shall not be placed on permanent signposts, light posts, or utility poles. Temporary signs shall not be allowed on Main Street from 4th Avenue to Railroad Avenue, which includes the Pocket Park, all bump outs on US 2 or on the US 2 Main Street intersection. All signs must have the address clearly marked on the sign. And the last one is the violations of these rules will be removed immediately by the police department and will be subject to a littering ticket per the littering ordinance. Other than that, we're allowing you to put your rummage sale signs out on your corners so you can get people down to your house and along that kind of thing.
Question, is the Legion gonna have their pancake breakfast? Because we usually allow those signboards for the breakfast, because I know Kiwanis has one, yeah, for that day, and then,
I believe not, Ray. I'm pretty sure they've moved their Mother's Day would normally be the time to have it. They're not having it on Mother's Day, so I'm pretty sure they moved it up a week, so it'd be May 3rd. So there would be no sign there for
okay.
the breakfast.
As we go through the ordinance, that was one that, for those events like that, we have allowed the sandwich boards, but they're not just temporary little signs. I mean, they're usually, you put them out every time. It's the same sign you put out on a sandwich board. So we do allow the sandwich board style. So I don't know if that would be a question that would come up.
Larry, are we going to have any problems with loosening rules for one event and with future events with precedent or anything like that?
Well, I don't think it's the kind of outrageous discrimination that would be considered a violation of equal protection under the law. It's not a suspect classification.
Okay.
I think it's rational basis based upon, the wisdom of the council. I don't see where that's at.
Okay, good. Anybody else, any questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the special events application community rummage sale.
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Next is Resolution 2014-12, Safe Routes to Schools, MDOT contract. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The contract you have before you is for the Safe Routes to Schools project that is going to take place in town here this summer. This is a standard form MDOT contract. Resolution has been provided for council consideration and approval. Pretty boilerplate language when dealing with these contracts. MDOT handles all of the work. They pretty much send us a bill. That's our extent of the work, and then Coleman Engineering works with MDOT from an engineering side. So, you know, the project's getting bid out in May. I think May 5th is the letting date. MDOT, this typical MDOT project, they handle the bid letting and they give us the results of the bidding. So,
Are they going to be the one who selects the contractor?
it is a low bid contract. Yeah, you can challenge the bidding, if you have a specific reason. You have to show cause as to why a contractor's not fit for low bid. Very difficult.
I have a couple comments here, Ray.
Sure.
Balance, requesting party share, it's us, 19,191. Originally, we started off a little over $30,000 was gonna be our share, the city share. Now I see we've got it down to basically under 20. Have we asked, well, I know you've asked the school if they'll kick in a little bit on that. Have you gotten anywhere with that?
Not with the school. They're, because the project is out in the, you know, off of the school grounds.
But some of this is school grounds. Very few, but there, some of that is.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but it's actually in the right of way.
Right away, okay.
Yeah, so
And I
the
believe...
answer's no, though. I haven't been able to get them to.
Okay, and then I also believe we had asked the Kurt Brackett Fund for help on that?
Yes.
Has there been any movement on that?
I have been given word that they're going to participate. I haven't had a letter of confirmation yet,
Okay.
but they are.
And I drove around again the other day double checking this, and all of a sudden, a few things popped in my mind here, like, they're gonna be 5-foot sidewalks
Yes,
from the house side out, basically, which is the property line.
Correct.
I've noticed there's quite a few trees that are gonna have to taken down.
it's gonna be close. I haven't gone through
Yeah.
on the survey.
But I was wondering if in this program, if some of these trees do have to come down, is there any stipulation where, hey, let's plant another tree under this program?
It won't go under that program. It would go under the local share.
It would go under local share?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it'd be the shame to take down a dozen trees if you had to, and
Yeah.
then you have nothing there, you know? Okay, that's,
We'll keep our eye on it.
yeah, that's all I have then.
Dr. Hayes?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2014-12.
I'll support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Okay, last thing on the agenda this evening, approval GIS contract, Waseda Township. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What you have before you is it's a contract that was put together in partnership with Waseda Township. Jim Wiseman has, he also works down in Waseda Township for their assessing, and he has been communicating with them about the benefits of our web hosting or our GIS web program, the Empower program, setup that we have, and he's been trying to get the township to get their information online. In talking with Coleman Engineering, there's a way that they can come on with the city of Norway, where the first year would actually be cost neutral for the city, but then our expenses actually will go down the next 2 years under the contract. Now, I did give you within your report, or within the report, I did lay out the savings for the city. And by the way, we are also receiving some interest from Brighton Township to do the same, where then our costs, you know, we pay $5,000 a year currently for that Empower web hosting. And so our costs are actually going to go down with this type of arrangement. And you won't see anything different other than, you know, you'd be able to pull up in the same program, you'd be able to pull up Waseda Township properties. And if Brighton Township comes on, you'd be able to pull up Brighton Township properties. I know that, you know, if you have a cottage on Hamilton Lakes or camps up by Foster City or in the township, Waseda Township, you'd be able to see that information. So it would benefit the citizens of Norway to some extent as well.
Have we had any interest from Norway Township on this?
We've talked to Norway Township, but at this point, we haven't seen.
What was our initial cost to set this up, Ray?
Our cost was, I think it was around $8,000. That actual, that first year cost of $3,000, that's Coleman's cost for setting them up. So it's, they actually have a separate cost that really doesn't have anything to do with our system. So they're going to set their own system up, and then they're going to attach it to our base system. That hosting is actually covered under that first.
Okay,
first
so
year.
basically their startup is going to be the same cost what we paid, and then they'll piggyback on us.
Correct. They're going to pay their own startup costs. That's that first year.
Well, okay,
It
that's
doesn't
what
cost
I
us
wanted to
anymore.
find out.
And then the
Okay.
second and third year, we share in, you know, the hosting. So our costs will go down.
And the other thing here, scope of services, Norway City Assessor will work with necessary township personnel to review and become familiar with the established process. As long as he does that on their dime, no problem.
He works for them. an hour a
I
week.
didn't realize that, but I
Yeah.
did mention that. I
So
just
that's
wanted to
how
make
he
sure.
would do that.
Okay.
Chris, any questions? George?
Just out of curiosity, the last page, on the third year all the way across, I noticed our cost is $2,900. Waseda is $2,000. Brighton Township is $2,500. Why do we have that much more area that we're covering, Ray, or that much more work on ours? Why aren't all these costs the same?
It's based on parcels. I mean, I can ask the question as to exactly what that is, but it's my understanding it's based on parcels. So, what you're looking at is actually if Brighton Township came on board. So right now, Brighton's working on their side to see, to get the approval, you know, if they want to
Yeah,
come on.
no, I understand it, but I thought.
But we have more parcels
are
than
we
actually
got-
Brighton.
Are we more involved in ours, that ours is $2,900? Where Waseda, which calls $2,000,
Yeah,
$2,500?
definitely more than Waseda, but we're more involved in Brighton too, because we have, our system is more complicated and we have a denser population parcel-wise. We have more parcels to work with.
What's considered a parcel? Like, my house is a parcel,
Yeah,
your house is
your
a
lot
parcel?
is a
Oh,
parcel.
okay.
You know, they have Quinnipiac, but then.
Somebody owns
once you go
120
to-
acres, that's one parcel.
That's one parcel. Based on this, it's one parcel, no matter how many legal descriptions you have. So,
Anything else, sir? Any other questions? Dr. Hayes?
No questions.
Anything else, Lee? Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve GIS contract with Cedar Township.
Second.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menikini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
And that concludes our meeting this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the council on any subject? If you do, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. Okay, Lee.
Two things. I asked you earlier, Jeremy, but I want to get it from the horse's mouth. When do we start our budget hearing meetings?
We need to schedule them in May.
In May, okay. And have Joel, have the people been notified about the pump failure? Basically, there's 12 houses.
The ones that are aware of, but we can talk with Trish, because we were talking with her today, and if there's anybody that you know of that we don't know of.
Well, I would say everything west of Stevenson Street, all the way out to Skog's there.
All right? Okay.
That's all I have.
Dr. Hayes?
I just want to confirm that spring is open now.
Spring is open.
Open today.
That is correct.
And I'd like to make the comment that I made last year that I feel that the spring ought to be open year-round. And we need to find some kind of a commercial establishment. I don't think the city should be responsible for the money to do that, but there are plenty of opportunities, particularly with the increasing likelihood that there'd be more tourism in the area. This would be something that might be a tourist center that would also benefit the local citizens. And I'd also like to make a comment that I think we need to do something as far as encouraging people to use solar power. There is more and more evidence that that's going to become up to 20% of the nation's power in the next decade or so. And if there's something we can do locally to people have panels on their roof, solar production in this area doesn't seem likely, but in Germany, solar is the number one, or they're the number one solar company. If we had something locally that would produce power during peak hours, during the summertime when water levels are low, that I think if we can find some way, maybe with WPPI, to encourage solar production, it would be a good idea. I also had a comment from some citizens who went to the Easter egg hunt, and I certainly want to appreciate the people who put that on and for everybody who participated. But the suggestion was that we televise this to show that there are some people who are out there picking up eggs for their kids, and not that I was there or even care about it, but that's always a complaint that I hear. So again, I'd like to thank everybody involved in the Easter egg hunt and suggest maybe that we do televise it next year.
It was on Channel 6 today.
Well, I mean the whole thing, just like we televise our meetings. Not that I.
Maybe we can talk to the Daily News about that.
So Tricia, next year, Easter egg hunt time, we'll have to get you a camera. The museum's got a good camera, we can probably use that too.
This is sort of tongue-in-cheek that
I
I'm
know.
suggesting this, but
We can make it.
just
I know. George?
I'm gonna pull Ray's rein here a little bit. Ray, whatever happened, I'm sure you can remember all the rumpus that we went through when that spring opened up there, and wasn't there supposed to be some monies that were from that well distribution up there that were supposed to go back into that park to beautify that park, X number of dollars per year that was supposed to be reinvested in that thing? Ray, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, because I know I am.
Kind of.
I'm sorry about that. Maybe
I'll have to go back and check. There was some discussion about having monies come for recreation. I think it was general recreation, but.
Well,
Let me
it was
check on
money,
that.
if I can recall, it was money that was supposed to basically go back into beautifying that park and you know, just do it better. And really, when Doc had mentioned ways of doing something with it, that it just rang a bell. And I said, geez, you know, I can recall that somebody was supposed to be donating, and I believe there was so much of, I'm maybe pulling strings here, but so much off a bottle of water or something
Yeah,
that, or if, maybe there was a set figure too of X number of dollars per year that was supposed
I
to.
remember we talked
Come back.
about, there was always some talk about, you know, so much per gallon, almost like a metering. But because that was on their property and it was like a well, that would be like a tax, and that's something that
Yeah, no.
you wanna do. But I think we were talking about a set amount per year, you know,
Yeah.
just so much per year.
How many years has that place been there?
Oh, a bunch.
Well,
10?
Yeah, about 10 years.
Judy's,
It was several years after I
Ed
came here.
Durkins was on the council.
Yeah,
Because he was the
He
one.
got on
that-
after that.
No, he was there because he was involved with that partition against putting that, remember, they were gonna put that build that big warehouse
Yeah.
with the well, and that whole group up there put a petition together.
But I think he came on after they drilled. You don't think so?
Well, maybe after it was,
Maybe after they drilled.
but I remember he was part of when that warehouse was going in there, or when they wanted to build a warehouse.
George, let me pull that file and see.
I just,
Yeah.
a light just come on when Doc had mentioned it. Okay, Joe, you couldn't get that guy down in Daggett, NATO area?
it's on my list of things to talk about. Yeah,
Oh.
I got a hold of him. Yep, that's top of the list. Pavilion cord blasting and staining. Talked to him this morning.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Listen.
because as much time it was going by here, if he got other jobs, and this was top priority.
Oh, trust me, he doesn't have other jobs.
Well, it
So,
was top priority last year here.
and we talked today, and I told him I wanted it done in 3 to 4 weeks before the pavilion starts to get used. But I needed some formal costs. That seemed to be an issue, to have a formal cost. So I just told him to bring me his costs and I'd write it up for him. So,
Okay.
but it's being handled.
So are you saying by next council meeting, we should have a cost?
I'm hoping to have, there's not gonna be multiple bids, obviously, but,
Well, we've been trying
I
to
will
get
have
somebody to do
something-
it for how long?
We've tried to get
yeah.
bids.
I will have something for you. He's supposed to give me something by the end of the week on what his costs are gonna be. And he said he's not very typing and computer literate, so I said, just bring it to me and I'll do it for you. So I'll put it together and bring it to you and we'll get it approved.
Just don't tell him he's the only bidder.
Okay. He better not watch us on TV and YouTube then.
We don't have TV down that way.
Okay.
And back to you, Ray, what happened in Strawberry Lake there of that contractor that was supposed to come in and cut them trees?
Well, they've been working on it. I think we talked to them today, right, Trish?
I don't think it was today, last week we talked to them, and they were starting.
Did-
They got me all.
They were in with, actually, I think they've been setting up with Otto to come in and start.
Otto was supposed to let them know here after the last.
Otto was in today. We were talking with
Okay.
Jim about making sure that we get the flag, the property lines flagged, if they get close to a property line, like, when they go over and start working by the mine pits,
Yeah,
we wanted to also have them work on some of those areas we gotta get cleared by the fencing that the mine inspector's mandating, so we're gonna have them do that. So they're close. I don't know if, hopefully they get in here soon.
okay, because I thought they were gonna do that when the snow was on the ground, it was supposed to be frozen.
Well, I think they use it as a breakup project,
Oh, that is a good idea.
but they're, you know, Otto's been doing the daily on it, so. I'll try and get a hold of him in the next couple days and see if I can shoot out a
I
schedule.
just thought that it just was put on the back burner and everything was forgotten about, because I was under the assumption that it was supposed to have been done in the wintertime. That was my assumption. So I mean, if plans had changed on that, I wasn't aware.
On that, George, as I had understood too, it was going to be a breakup project.
I didn't. Okay.
Chris?
In the executive memo, there was talk about the issues we're having with the recycling and the paper down at the, do we have, is there actually a sign, I should know, it's like all the time, but I never actually noticed, is there a sign that says no cardboard on that dumpster?
I believe there is. It says, I believe it says no cardboard and for city residents only.
Maybe we can make it a little bigger, because I honestly have not noticed it say no, I don't put cardboard in there, but I
Yeah.
see it full of cardboard all the time, and
Yep.
I do agree that it's starting to get a little bit out of hand. I mean, I go down there periodically, and it is stuffed to the brim with lots of stuff that probably shouldn't be in there. I don't want to see it go behind the fence, because I think it's going to limit people from actually using the recyclable containers, but if we have to look at investing in a security camera system so we can keep track of it, I would be all for looking at those numbers. I also saw the packet too, we had discussion from the state about possibly looking into a statewide recycling program, curbside.
Yeah, there's been some additional talk about curbside. You know, we have a solid waste management plan for Dickinson County, which limits the contractors that can actually come in. Right now, it's pretty much set up for GAD. And we had, at our last meeting, we talked about opening that up, taking a look at that solid waste management plan, and review the rules so that it can be a little more competitive, because there was a contractor actually out of Eagle River that wanted to or was investigating coming into Dickinson County, and they actually recycle plastics 1 through 7. They recycle glass. They do curbside. They take metal, and also they want your regular trash as well. But the solid waste management plan clearly states that all trash needs to go to the transfer station, and then the transfer station it goes to by municipal. So it's very specific. So you know, Waste Management or this other company, they really can't bid on it. I mean, they can't meet those requirements. So we're gonna actually, and I sit on that committee, so we're going to open that up, review it, and try and do something that fits the law, but also opens up for competition, because you know, we need to see what the best program can be for the county.
I think it's good, especially if we can look at, you know, the state's going to support curbside recycling. I mean, that's obviously good for the environment, but it also helps us reducing our tipping fee costs as well.
Yeah, and the more convenient you make it, just like you're talking about with the dumpster over here, the more the percentage of use participation goes up dramatically. So curbside, they get away from having multiple bins, you know, so they'll have one just for recycling and one just for trash, you know, so make it real easy for everybody. And you'll drop your regular trash down dramatically.
The other thing that I saw come through the executive memo was the logo for the trucks. And I didn't actually get a copy of it until I saw it today. I guess I understand the reason behind it, but I mean, do we have any costs on this? Because it's just
Before I went through all the hassle of getting a cost, I just want to know if you liked it or not. Because it's got everything that the city stands for right now without the shield, but then it has the departments on it also, so the trucks can be identified into which departments that they belong to when you're out in front of the homes.
my personal opinion. I mean, I'm okay with this, with the circle and the name and the
Yeah.
department on it, but I don't like the ship in the middle. I might just put the shield back in the middle. I mean, I think that the circle kind of encapsulates the shield. It doesn't look like a police. But we're kind of, it seems like we're moving away from what our actual
Okay.
symbol is on there. And then, George,
What does wastewater and hydro have to do
Yeah,
with common?
it's just the words. It's just words. They can be changed. Words can be changed. The guy messed up and put wastewater in hydro. It's just an example of what it could look like.
But anyway, I guess the bottom line is if we look at doing this, I'd like to see some costs before, because I
Yeah.
don't want to see us, I don't want to say wasting money, but
No.
putting money into something that may not necessarily be top priority.
Well, like Joe said, this was just, do you like the picture?
Yeah.
Yes or no? And then we can make changes to it and we can work from there.
Yep.
Just to get feelers on
Just
the.
get your
on
reactions.
the logo.
I have held Joe up for a couple of years over the whole shield issue. Because, this has been going on for how long?
I don't know, quite a while.
Quite a while. And I said, look at the shield is you go back to the pictures from the 40s, the shield is there, so it's been a long time that we've had that logo. It's on our flag, it is our logo, so, we're trying to figure out a way that easily can, we can easily get the name of the department on the
The shield's in the flag.
I saw that.
Yeah. You just don't like, you don't like the bullet?
I've
I
seen more
don't-
attractive ones out there.
Let me word this carefully. I don't like the ship on the logo.
Okay, all right.
I think it's important going forward with this to have some set logos so that the electric trucks are the same as the wastewater trucks are the same as
Yeah.
the water.
Yeah, I want to get everybody the same,
The
because
police
cable
being
doesn't have
different.
that either.
The police being different, I'm fine with. The police should
Yeah.
keep the shield, the police should keep their look.
I've never heard where people are mistaking that shield for a police car, or for a police department.
I haven't either, George.
I don't know where that comes from. Is that right?
Driver
They
white
do
dot.
me, yeah, when I go down, but I got
Well,
the,
yeah, but you're riding downstate with it too.
right, in an old police car.
The pool car's an old police car, we have to see.
You
the
should have
logo.
got
You
caught
should
down
see the
there.
brake lights hit. But, I have heard it, that, it's not so much they mistake it for it, but it just looks like a police insignia.
Having the shield in the circle, I think, would be a good middle point, because
Okay.
you lose the edges of the shield, it wouldn't be a shield anymore. Might be a good middle point to start on.
Maybe we can get WPPI to foot the bill for that.
Then we'd have to put
We,
their
we
name on
could,
it.
we could if you put them on the sticker.
We have to have their name on it, like when we
I'm
do ships.
just saying, you asked the question, I'm telling you.
If it's
The answer is yes.
I made a
They do
statement.
that on Crystal Falls, Gladstone, I think their vehicles all have shared.
Yeah,
power.
if you put on their shared strength through WPPI, they will pay for the stickers.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, I'll work on a new design for you.
Other people might have a problem
We'll,
with that.
I do have a problem with it, so,
okay, showing of hands, 3 majority, let's go.
Isn't it
Just
good
look
that
into
people
it.
think that our vehicles look like police cars? What's wrong with that?
I think it'd be a good thing.
Yeah?
Yeah, slow people down.
anything else? The only question I got, Joe, is, with the water running, are we gonna be having people shut off now? Do we have a time frame on
No,
that?
there's still frost in the ground, the ones that are currently running are still gonna stay running. Some of them have been calling in,
So
and we're
it's-
telling them
it's
to
still,
continue to run your water until we tell you not to run it.
okay, I've had a few questions on that. We get a few warm days and I'm getting more and more questions on that.
We were measuring some frost today, and there's still, in spots, there's still 30 inches of frost in areas, so.
The other question, expected this time of year, but we're getting a lot of, questions on the potholes. I know right now we're working on water mains. Do we have a time frame when we might start getting to the potholes?
The exact time frame for
Well,
potholes has not been
No,
established.
I'm just saying bulk, I mean, if you think water will be done in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month? I mean, that kind of,
We've got about 8 water services we have to repair. So that's about a week and a half worth of work. We have some roads from water repairs we've already done
Right.
that have to be repaired. And that has to be done also. And then the potholes come after that,
okay.
so.
I had to ask just to see if we had an idea where we're gonna be.
As soon as we can get at it,
Oh, that's what I've been telling people, that we know there's potholes out there, we know the roads are in rough shape right now. We're getting to it as fast as we can.
that is correct. We will get there, just be patient. I know it's tough when your car is sinking in there, but
Okay, Joe, anything else?
just that for the people that don't know, there was a US 2 in Saginaw water main break today and blew up the US 2 corridor, heaved the pavement about a foot. All the water's back on, the line has been capped, and the guys are probably still out there fixing the hole in the road. But there's another costly problem because of the frost. And the 8-inch water main actually froze and horizontally cracked the pipe. There wasn't a lot of water flow in that particular spot, so.
Does that have to be redug up then, Joe, to be repaired at a later date, or no?
Well, we have to repair it back to MDOT specifications.
No, I mean the water line.
No, it was a dead end 2 blocks further down. We just shortened up that dead end. Nobody's without water. We just kind of are diverting the way that we run the water through a different area in the city. If the DEQ requires us to go under the road again, US 2 corridor with water, we're going to be boring it. We will not dig it up. We will not dig up the 2SU corridor. So we'll be boring it to put it back in if we have to, once we get it repaired, you know. But, so that happened today at 1:30 this afternoon. It went. Aspen Tree Service, I've been in touch with about getting these boulevard trees, the dead ones, down. He called today to try to set up a time. He's going to come later in the week and meet with us and look at some of the trees and give us some costs for that. So we have another bid on that. The other note I had was about the potholes, so we already covered that. So.
Hey, Mary. Tricia.
Oh, yeah, do have one more thing. Tricia reminded me. The argon mine pumps are out. One is possible bad electrical winding in the motor, and the other one has a bad bearing. They were both online and running. As of yesterday, they turned off. We went out there to restart them and found the problems with them. I have ZNR Electric coming in the morning to do tests on a 20-horse motor to see if it can be fixed for use right away. If it cannot, it takes at least 4 days to pull a motor and rewind it. That's a long time, and water's already getting up there in the lake and in basements. So the plan would be to purchase a new motor that we can get in place within a day to 2 days. So I'll know more tomorrow about that. I don't really have a lot of detail on it right now, other than it's a problem, and anybody that historically gets water in their basement because of high water should watch out, and if it starts coming up, pick stuff up off the floor in your basements. I mean, there's really nothing we can do till I get these motors fixed.
Okay.
So,
Tricia,
that's
anything?
all.
Larry? Ray?
I got just a couple things. I want to thank everybody who organized and helped and made that Easter egg hunt this weekend. Again, that's really a signature event for the community. Brings a lot of people into the community. Mentioned about potholes and water leaks. Patience, that's the big word. I'm going to be working with Joe and Dave to try and figure out how we can possibly work in some pothole repair. I hate to wait 2 weeks to try and, free that up, but it is what it is. I mean, you saw what happened today on US 2. We have to, it's all hands on deck, get over there and get that leak. We've got a couple other leaks, that same thing. We have to get over there and get those dug up and get them fixed. We are working on an emergency declaration. We need to work with the county, and there's a certain level of costs that have to be met in order to get that designation. The state does not have money to hand out in the declaration. What they do is they offer assistance such as the National Guard or other types of resources. And when I work with communities across the UP, you know, Marquette County is one, as an example. We're all basically in the same boat, that our hands are on deck. And I think that if you bring somebody in that, you know, doesn't know the routine, isn't trained in the water leak area, you know, you might have more headaches than really it serves. So it's not the hands-on that really is getting us, it's the money, it's the cost. I mean, just the one leak we fixed today is costly. It has multiple, or the reconstruction of the highway, you know, and we have US 8 and US 2, that's gonna be a costly one. All of these costs are being cataloged, and we're getting those costs to the county, county by county, and we need to reach, as a UP-wide, we need to reach $13.7 million in order to meet the federal designation. We'll get there. There's no question we'll get there, you know, UP-wide. And that's why we're all trying to stick together on that. But we've got another month of this, you know, and it's not something that, like a hurricane that comes through and they assess it in a week and they know what the costs are. I mean, this is something that's gonna build and build and build. So, again, the patience is something, it's screwed the budget up. There's no question about it. But again, you know, we're just gonna have to slug through it. Like I said, I'm gonna work with Joe and Dave. We'll figure out some ways of doing some of this other work in between. But definitely some things are gonna get pushed. So let's everybody's patience on it. And I'll tell you what, wanted to give a call out to the guys out there working. I know that there are quite a few people out there on the project. The County Road Commission came down to help, so there's quite a few of their employees standing, you know, out there helping out. So you're gonna appreciate their help in this. So when you come by and you see a lot of people there's you know, there's multiple groups in that group.
Ray, I think that should be addressed, though. Somebody should call up there and say, hey, you know, we appreciate your hand, but you don't need to send 20 guys down for a two-man job.
Joe is probably gonna take that.
I know, I would call tomorrow, Joe, and bring that to somebody's attention up there. This is nonsense to see that many people standing around leaning on a shovel.
Yeah, 6 guys from the county.
For what?
Well, originally, they all drove vehicles because all the equipment that we needed. But then our guys were doing all the work and running with our dump trucks. And then there really wasn't a whole lot for them to do. But they stuck around to pick up all the cones and everything after the fact and helped get the road put back together because it is their jurisdiction. The US highway is their responsibility. So, but I can have a talk with Jim Harris about it.
I mean, you know where I'm coming from.
We
get
trust
enough
me.
bad.
When I was standing there the whole while, taking pictures and making sure things were going okay, that was in the back of my mind the whole while. I was looking around and going, well, I'm gonna hear about this tomorrow.
Get enough bad press without going out of state and looking for it.
Yeah.
Whose backhoe was that, Joe?
There were 2 backhoes there. One was the county's and one was ours. Yeah. And then we had our excavator there. There was multiple county dump trucks plus our dump trucks. And for a while, everyone was being used, you know, but you get at a point to a job where it all kind of, you have all your materials there and then the guys aren't running the dump trucks anymore. So what do? Well, they stand there and look down the hole. So it looks pretty bad for a while. But I don't know. That's a tough one to manage because in the beginning you need everybody and then you don't.
We have no,
Make a motion the meeting be adjourned.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by George. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Ball?
Yep.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.